just hired them. Don't you think that was wrong, that they left jobs?
Donna, this is not the place for the union negotiation. We'll have that separate.
Okay, this is a negotiation though. I just wanted you to know because two ladies were just told.
Oh, I know, we heard that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments on the agenda? Okay. Administrative report?
Yes, at this point, there'll be an administrative report regarding the energy performance contract conducted by Mrs. Newman and Mr. Schramm.
Board sat down, but it only takes a few more seconds to get out. While it's heating up, we're going to provide a facilities update for the Board of Education to review the energy performance contract. You may recall we've done a number of presentations to the board as well as the public, and in deference to the two board members that have just joined us, we thought we'd kind of do a review once again of the project. The project as originally approved was about $17 million. There was an addendum to that of about $2 million, and Mr. Schramm will be identifying later on what that additional work was. Again, with the energy performance contract, which is approved by New York State Education Department, it must be a self-sustaining project, and the cost must be fully funded through the energy savings of the new equipment. The projects, as stated, will have a guaranteed annual energy savings each year of approximately $900,000. It will generate our building aid ratio, which is 53.7%, which is an additional $10.4 million. The project will also generate more than $800,000 in rebates from LIPA, and there will be additional rebates from National Grid. The overview of the projects, I will hand over to our facilities administrator, Mr. Schramm. I will be happy to.
Well, I get the opportunity to speak about the best part of this project, which is actually the construction. We've been talking about this project for months and months, and to see it change from a set of drawings on my desk to some physical things has been great. So this is a quick overview of what we're doing. It's the original project, which is what we're looking at right now, was a rather large project, so there was a lot to it. Some of it is district-wide, some of it is specific locations, like the roof replacement was specific to Northridge, but unit ventilator refurbishments have been district-wide, so it's quite a large project. This is where we're at in the project. We literally kicked this project off in August of last year. We're only 10 months in, so the fact that we're here is amazing. 90% of this work happened during the school year, which is just incredible. The lighting, fixture, and controls is important right now because, like Mrs. Newman had mentioned, the LIPA rebates of $800,000 are waiting for us. We need to get that line to 100% before we can file for those rebates. So we're working hard towards that. Building weatherization, you can see where we are amongst the different items in the project. This is the rest of the project. As the summer months progress, we're going to start making a lot of progress in leaps and bounds. We've got a tremendous amount of work scheduled for the summer. The only thing we don't have any progress on right now is compressor replacements, but I anticipate that happening, but I didn't want to put it on here and assume anything's going to happen over the next few months. Picture's worth 1,000 words, so I think we throw some pictures in. Lighting fixtures, theoretically, virtually every lighting fixture in the district's been addressed, and there's like over 22,000 of them. They've either been replaced or rebuilt. Occupancy sensors have been put in every room. Basically, if there's no motion detector in the room, the lights will automatically shut off, saving energy. The gymnasium lighting is unique because, gone are the days of the old high bay, metal halide or high pressure sodium fixtures that buzzed and took 5 minutes to warm up. Then our high bay lighting, and the unique part is that each fixture has its own occupancy sensor, so it's not just for the one for the room. So as you enter a darkened gym, the lights will come on one at a time as you trip them off. So if you're only using one half of the gym, the other half would stay unlit. Part of the project was Indian Hollow ceilings. We did the ceilings in the multi-purpose room, which is on the left, and the gymnasium on the right. The pictures don't do the justice. You have to see it. Between the new lighting and the new ceilings, it's phenomenal. So it's worth taking a look at that. Boiler room upgrades, probably nobody's interested in this, but I am, but there's a lot of insulation work, new domestic hot water heater. That picture is at the middle school, which is amazing. It's beautiful, like it's actually amazing that that small hot water heater provides enough hot water for the entire middle school. The efficiency of these things is crazy. The cogeneration plant, my favorite part of the whole project. It's basically nothing more than a gas-fired generator that provides 75 kW of electricity, and then you use the heat generated from the motor to preheat boiler water, so it increases your efficiency of your boiler. So it's a great project. Some boiler controls, vending machine controllers, which is installed on any vending machine that has a compressor. It limits the cycling of the compressors. Again, probably not interesting to anybody but me.
I'm worried about those.
This is what we have scheduled for the next 8 weeks, believe it or not. Window replacements at Commack High School have started. If anybody knows the high school, what's considered D-Wing, the 1970s edition, is getting all new windows. They're already started to come out. We're doing the windows at Sagacos. The big 100-ton chillers at Burn Sawmill, which is the air conditioning system for the main office and the auditorium and the library, that's being replaced. Boiler replacements, 3 of those 4 locations actually had pretty extensive asbestos abatements that needed to be done, and they're done already. They were all done last week. So the boilers are being dismantled, and they should be replaced in plenty of time for heating season. A new air conditioning, heating and air conditioning system for the guidance office at Commack High School. John would love that. So that's being taken care of. So, and this is the additional work that Mr. Newman referred to, the $2 million of additional work that was added. The main thing we needed to address was the roof at Smith's Lane. The roof predates me by many, many years, but judging by the condition and the type of roof it is, it has to be 25 years plus. It's failing miserably. We spend a tremendous amount of money each year repairing leaks and repairing the damage from the leaks. And then these are additional projects that are associated with it. Increased valve installation, more transformers, and some VFDs, which are another really, again, interesting to me, but VFDs are nothing more than speed controls on motors that allow motors to run at a lower RPM, basically saving energy. And that's our whole project.
Are there any questions from the Board of Education?
I just really want to make that a strong point, that all of this has been done while we've been educating these students for the whole year. And it is an amazing accomplishment and amazing that we make it here. Thank you. I'm a little worried about those compressor replacements.
Don't worry. Sleep well.
How do we, now going forward, benchmark our performance, like when we install these systems, how do we know that our investment is actually paying off going forward?
Well,
Actually built into the project, and I'll jump in,
Okay.
like I said, the 2 is a monitoring system. The Johnson Controls and ECG, an independent contractor, monitor the energy savings and dollar savings, because that savings is guaranteed. If it's not realized, Johnson Controls will actually have to write us a check. So it's built in. It can be done every year, it can be done every 3 years, it can be done every 6 years. We plan to do it for the first 3 consecutive years while the project is being installed. And then after that, we'll make a determination about how often we'll do that check. And then, based on those reports, it generates how much savings we should be realizing, and if we're not, Johnson Controls must write us a check. Now, they don't want to write a check, so they typically don't make mistakes, and I think they told us in all of the jobs they've ever done, they've only ever written a check once. They come in then, make the correction, and don't have to write a check again the following year. So it's monitored over time. That's a great question. State aid is also a part of this, which drives additional revenue into the school district, which helps us over time. It doesn't, we don't realize the state aid revenue immediately, but we do over time. In the 3 years that we've been working on this, and we started this when I first got here, it is now really up and running. We've got the lighting coming in. It really is amazing when you see the new lights, what it can do, and it runs on about 1/3 electricity, which is how the project is paid for. Richie and his men, I can't say enough about how they're managing this, because when they say during the day, you can come in the next day and not even know they were there. I mean, they come in and all new lights are, and you're like, when did this happen? So they're doing a great job. Some of the work will be done over the summer. As you might imagine, when they got to put in new boilers, we can't take the boilers down in the middle of the winter. So, and if you can imagine, the boilers are half as big as this room. They actually have to cut them up, remove them, take new ones in and build them. So that'll take place over the summer months. The expansion of the project allows us to do some work that the district is desperately needed, fits under the scope of the project, it's guaranteed in savings and generates state aid. I mean, it's a win-win all the way around. So are there any other questions from the board? Yes?
Are there any plans for setting up some sort of a program for the use of solar panels?
We have solar installed on 4 locations currently. The high school, middle school, Burn Sawmill have 50 kW systems on them right now, and they're up and running and flawless. So beyond that, there's no further.
We're not considering expanding that?
Not at this point.
No, well, the solar panels that are up were put up under something called the Excel grant. Under this particular project, the savings associated with solar aren't permissible under the project, so the state wouldn't approve it. We did ask about that. We asked about wind production, solar. What was approved was a cogeneration. They won't approve any additional solar. The explanation we received is they take too long to pay for themselves, so they don't fit under this particular project. So right now, we don't have any plans to expand that. They are on 4 buildings. It is a pretty substantial amount that we're generating with those particular panels, but right now, no additional panels are planned. Yes?
With Superstorm Sandy that happened, was anything damaged or delayed with this project? And were there any reevaluations done that we could possibly cut down the time that we were out and maybe implement something going forward? Has anything like that been discussed with this
Well,
project?
Superstorm Sandy was after the beginning of the project, which we were very concerned because the Northridge roof had just gone on, and it came through it beautifully. From a physical standpoint, the district really did not sustain any damage that needed any mitigation. We had electricity beyond our control. It wasn't anything that was in the district. This was life issues, who knows where. So from that respect, we were very lucky. We really didn't have any kind of damage from the storm that we could really even mitigate.
I will say that there is a generator in this building that powers part of the building, so we could keep some of our systems up and running, but with all the lines down, we couldn't communicate with anybody. It didn't matter whether we had it's a little bit of power. I don't want to give you the impression we were sitting up here in late heated offices. It's one office with a computer and one light. That's it. So, but when nobody else was running, we couldn't do any more than we did.
Since life is no longer on the island, how are you going to get the $800,000 rebate? You said you're getting them from life.
Well, the rebates are guaranteed. We have documentation of the rebates, so the status of LIPA, whether or not it's them or the new company, the rebates are guaranteed. They're already documented. Yes, sir?
When are they paid, $800,000? When do we expect to see that?
I don't have the document in front of me, but there is a timeline when they must be paid.
But is it near term or is it?
We think it'll be, for the most part, this year coming. The plan is to use that to offset tax levy increases or maintain programs.
But where are we with this contract now on a percentage basis of payment? Are we paid 50%? Are we paid 20%?
Overall, we're only permitted to pay for work that has been completed. Offhand, I couldn't tell you what that overall percentage is, but no payments are made unless work is complete.
Well, that's understandable. So you don't know on a payment basis if the project's 50% complete, if it's
I'd have to pull
20%
the
complete?
records. It's an ongoing process. Bills are paid probably monthly to every other month in that vicinity. So offhand, no, I couldn't tell you the overall percentage that has been paid out. I can get that for you.
But in other words, for where, like, building weatherization, which was 100% complete, that component would then in theory have been paid for?
In theory, right, only the items that have been completed. It is progress billing. That progress billing is placed by Johnson Controls. It is vetted by ECG, and then it comes through to the district for additional review. Once that review has been completed, payment would go through the typical audit process, and then it will be made.
Okay, thank you.
Did we bond that $19 million?
It's actually not a bond. A energy performance contract is a municipal lease agreement. So in theory, Yes, bond would be the wrong word to use. It's a municipal lease, and that has been accomplished for the 17 million that was previously approved. The next step would be to do additional financing for the additional $2 million that was approved. My recollection is it was a 2.14% interest rate, 17 million.
The payments for the life of that are guaranteed by Johnson Controls on the savings and the state aid. If you don't realize that, Johnson Controls writes the check and they make the payment. Are there any other questions? Okay, I invite the board to return, and we will continue with our meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Mason.
Motion to accept the bid for legal services. Motion made by Mr. Masiello, seconded by Mrs. Goober. Discussion? Well, go ahead.
The reason stated previously, I
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4 to 1. Can I get a motion to accept an extension of the contract for the district webmaster and public relations? I'll make the motion. This is for 2 months. Seconded by Mr. Hartman. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. Can I get a motion to accept the amended proposal for the Community Affairs Coordinator? Motion made by Mrs. Masiello, seconded by Mrs. Goober. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Passed unanimously. I apologize. I missed old business. I did have one old business item. And I know it's going to be tough for Mrs. Ryan to get up. Maybe somebody could hand her the microphone?
No.
Okay. There was an item that came up last month at the meeting that had to do with some nursing medical issues around some students, and I'd love to hear an update.
Sure. There was a question, it really centered around the handling of notifying parents when a child that was ill or injured. So given the issue that had been brought to the board, the next day, Mr. Davidson, the middle school principal, and I began an investigation. We interviewed the school nurses in the middle school and the records, the health office records, and found that indeed a young lady had come to the nurse's office and reported that she felt pain. Not that she fainted, she reported that she felt pain. Her vitals were taken, they were within normal range. She stayed in the nurse's office for a while, was monitored, given water, rested. She reported that she felt fine. They again took her vitals, felt that it was appropriate for her to go back to class. That's what she requested. They also offered her the ability to call her mom or her dad. She said no, she didn't need to do that. Once the student had been identified to us, I myself called the parents and first inquired as to her health, because it had also been reported that she had been hospitalized subsequent to that. The mother confirmed to me that she had gone to the nurse's office and confirmed to me the events as had been reported by the nurses, that she had not, in fact, said that she fainted. She also confirmed that her daughter had been hospitalized, that she was fine now. I asked her if she had any concerns relative to how it was handled. She told me no. In fact, the nurses had called her at home to check on the child's well-being after she'd been hospitalized, that she felt very good about the way that they had handled it. She had no concerns about the fact that they had not called home. And again, confirmed that the child had said she didn't need it. They didn't feel she needed it either. The mother actually went on to say how much she appreciated all that the nurses had done for her daughter at the middle school and for other children in other schools. So in conclusion, we found no wrongdoing or breach of protocol by our nurses. However, we did take the opportunity to review with our nurses the importance of home-school communication.
Thank you.
Yep.
New business, can I get a motion to acknowledge receipt of the following Burton Darren Smith invoice? Motion made by Mr. Tempolini, seconded by Mr. Hartman. Discussion? All in favor? Can I get a motion, new business D, to accept items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8? A motion made by Mrs. Masiello, seconded by Mr. Tambolini. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. I'll make the motion to accept item 9B6. Can I get a second? Motion made by Mrs. Goober. Discussion? I'd like to make a motion to table that same item. Can I get a second? All in favor of tabling item 9B6? Tabled unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the obsolescence of the following? Yamaha keyboards, a Latham time clock at Commack High School, and old computers, monitors, and printers. I'll make the motion, seconded by Mrs. Masiello. Discussion, I would like to say that I have heard about the voluminous amount of hours that some of the staff spent in the basement in Commack High School, inventorying, tagging, and logging all of this old. I just wonder if we couldn't donate it to the Smithsonian. That's half in jest, though. It wasn't worth a response. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Can I get a motion to accept the following donations? Donations by J&B Restaurant Partners of Long Island of $5,000. $500 for participation in Jump Rope for Art by MSIS on the accountant board. Donation by the Northridge PTA of $3,000, $1,000 per grade level to be applied toward the 2013-14 school year class field trips. Donation by the Commack Middle School Leaders Club of 1 scroll, saw, and stand to be used by the Technology Department at Commack Middle School. A donation by the Student Government Council of 3 new 15-foot heavy-duty picnic tables to be used at Commack Middle School. Donation made by the Suffolk Association of School Business Officials of $500 scholarship to be awarded to a deserving student of the district's choice in honor of the outstanding work being done for all of the children in the Commack district. And a donation by the Indian Hollow PTA of $2,678.64 to be applied toward purchasing new entranceway rugs for the Indian Hollow building. Funds to be deposited into the Indian Hollow donation account number TA038.16. Motion made by Mrs. Goober, seconded by Mrs. Masiello, and as usual, we, the board, would just like to thank the generosity of everyone who lives in this district. Not just these people, but everyone who's doing things all the time. Thank you. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve all of the health service contracts for the 2012-13 school years that are attached? Motion made by Mr. Hartman, seconded by Mrs. Masiello. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the revised board policy 1330, use of school facilities? I'll make the motion, seconded by Mr. Hartman. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve revised administration regulation 1330, rules and regulations for the use of the school building? Motion made by Mrs. Masiello, seconded by Mrs. Goober. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the revised administration regulation number 3450.1, petty cash funds? Motion made by Mr. Tampolini. I'll second it. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. Can I get a motion to accept the grant of $50 awarded by Astoria Federal Savings to student Taylor Castaldo for his artwork? Motion made by Mr. Tampolini, seconded by Mrs. Masiello. Discussion? Again, thank you. All in favor? Passed unanimously. I'd like to just acknowledge receipt of the statement for professional services rendered on non-retainer matters in the amount of $20,966.51 for the period ending May 2013, submitted by Lamon Brynowski. Can I get a motion to approve the lease extension modification with Reach Community and Youth Agency, Inc. for room 3 at Old Farms Elementary School, and authorize the president of the board to sign same? Motion made by Mrs. Masiello, seconded by Mr. Hartman. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. I'd like to just acknowledge receipt of the Internal Planning Auditor's monthly update and acknowledge receipt of the CSE CPSE recommendations on the various dates attached. We'll also acknowledge receipt of the following financial reports: budget status, revenue status, trial balance, CD rates, summary of the treasurer's report, treasurer's bank reconciliation, and cash flow. And, no, we're just acknowledging receipt. So that's all right. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Keep going.
Can I get a motion resolved that the Board of Education of the Commack Union Free School District shall hold its regular business meeting on Thursday, August 29th, 2013, at Hubs Administration Center, East Northport, New York, time to be announced at a later date and will be posted at least 72 hours prior to the meeting date, including the audit committee. Motion made by Mr. Tamplini, seconded by Mr. Hartman. Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. If anyone would like to come to the mic to discuss non-agenda items, please address your comments to the board, and please be aware of the 5-minute time limit.
Hi, Jeremy Gargan. Can you just explain what happened with item 9B6, the memorandum of agreement with regard to special education summer school? What that was and why it was tabled?
Well, I'm not sure we can discuss what there's some details related to that agreement if we're going to have questions about, and we will provide clarifications and then represent.
What is the agreement for?
The stipends for our hourly salary for summer school teachers in our summer autism program.
Okay, when did that start?
That started we actually ran it last year. This is our second.
Okay. And the people could get paid even though
Yes.
that's not in place?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Good evening, Teresa Burke. Welcome everybody, congratulations, and thank those that have dedicated their time, present, and in the future. I've got a couple of small questions for you guys. One is following up with one of the audience members about tenure. Tenure's probationary, 3 years. Does tenure have to be given, and is there a time frame on that? Just, I wanted to know a little explanation. I understand that after 3 years you can decide whether you're given, but does it have to be offered?
No. Again, in fact, it requires first the recommendation of the superintendent of schools and then the concurrence of the Board of Education. So, no, it's not an agreement.
Doesn't have to, okay.
But
Easy.
If we fail to act, right. The 3-year time period, though, the board must either accept, approve, or deny tenure because the person is employed for more than 3 years. They obtain tenure by acquiescence. So the normal course of events is in the 3rd year of probation, during the February, March period, the administration gets together its evaluations, et cetera, and then makes a recommendation to the board to either grant or deny tenure.
Okay, so there has to be some type of
Some type of action.
Some type of action.
Right.
Okay, so some type of action.
Because if you don't act,
They kind of get it by default?
by default, that's
All right,
correct.
that's easy. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding it correctly.
And so we don't do that. In other words, we don't, tenure by acquiescence is not a good practice. It's best
Okay,
to
I
make a
can
decision
understand
one way or the other.
Okay, then just a quick quote about the nursing issue at the middle school. Just real quick. I had a personal incident where I had made a comment about something that happened while my son was at the middle school. It was handled. The next reaction that I got was when my child had a paper cut, I got called. It was an overreaction. So when a child goes to the nurse and you're asking that child whether they should call the parent or not, let's err on the side of maybe calling the parent.
Can I clarify that? I'm sorry, I want to clarify that. There are protocols that we're not going to have in this meeting that dictate a phone call must be made. In this case, the child presented not in that protocol, where you would definitely call. However, especially in middle school, it is their habit to ask the student, would you like to call your mom or dad? Especially if it's a young lady who just isn't feeling well. That is a very common practice.
Okay, so
that was not, we do not ask children, do you think we should call your mom and dad? We do not do that.
Kind of, when I heard it, I thought, wait a minute, that
We do
doesn't
not
sound right
do
when you
that.
ask the child.
There
Okay,
is
so there is a
there are
protocol.
guidelines for when to call
all
and
right.
when not
So
to
based
call.
on what the child comes in
Exactly.
for is what's part of the, okay, thank you for clarifying that because